I guess I'm live. Oh, I gotta change the mic setting. There you go. It's flat right now. We'll do low gain live setting. Maybe up the gain a little bit so I'm not mumbling. Put this down like that. All right, everyone. Some exciting stuff happening today. When I say exciting, it's I guess some people might be like, that's not that exciting. Oh, you can see that I was recording my state machine tutorial yesterday. I might have to redo it because I was stumbling a little bit. I mean, that's the downside of like doing these live, but I think that's also the positive. But for the first time in my recording career, I might have to redo that one. Maybe I was just kind of really out of practice or something. All right, let's see. Now we're going to turn on some music. A non-copyrighted music that does not get me on trouble. I said people are already here. Hey, Archives. Archives here. And we got Zerobop down on YouTube. People are starting to pour in. We're gonna get started. We're gonna have some interesting thing. I will talk about it eventually, but let me get everything sorted out first. First of all, I probably will need to make an announcement. Stream viewer. Yeah, am I even centered? Feels like I'm all kind of like lopsided. Ooh, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to change the camera angle here. You would think that I should do this before starting stream, but alas, here we are. Hi, Conic. Zerobop says, are you making a brand new video game or something like that? Yeah, of course. We have been working on this game called Dread on Arrival. And we have been making the combat part of the game where it looks something like this, right? And there's some debugging information, but basically you click on the crew and then you can change where that crew member is. And depending on where that crew member is, you can do different things. Obviously you can move, you can launch missile, and then the enemies also do that. And then we just finished making a minefield version where when you move into the mine, they activate and they blow up in chain reaction like this. Pretty cool. So now that I've tested one, there's two types of combat that I can reset and restart at any time, and then two different types of enemy, quote unquote, hazard type. I want to start getting into the roguelike procedurally generated graph map. I just got to open up some stuff. But before I explain all that, let me just make sure I turn on some chill background music. Of course, still sniffly. Chill beats. Let's see if this will work. Okay, that's not bad. All right, we just got to make sure the audio level is appropriate. Hold on, I'm going to mute myself real quick because I got to blow my nose. Zerobop says, do you know how to make a terrain generation system? Yes and no. Yes, in theory, but no, I haven't done that yet. However, I do have a procedurally generated dungeon series that I'm doing on YouTube. So next one I'm doing is, this one is going to be probably part of it because I am making that kind of connecting different dungeon rooms. Next one I will have to do, well, in schedule, I'm going to do the wave function collapse, which is used for terrain generation. And then after that is over, I'm going to move on to generating terrain based on noise, which is another. So Perlin noise based terrain generation is like doing like peaks and valleys and then making certain values water, certain values peak. So then you get this like mountainous, natural looking terrain generation. So all of those things are in the plan. I will be working on those things. But As of right now, I don't think I have any more information to just kind of drop, but just know that it's coming up. I am picking up speed in terms of making tutorials, so it's probably not going to be for... It's probably within 2 months that I will have all of those things out. Hopefully. Editing does take a while. Let's see. On Twitch, Konik is saying something. Konik says, hello. Oh. Archive's giving Konik some gift. Ooh, Archive's also giving me Barry Allen. Nice, thanks. Konik says, have you ever had experience creating your own game engine? Unfortunately, yes. I had, well, technically, not really. I've made games with Java before, okay? And when I was doing that, I was making basically my own like game loop rendering to a point where I didn't want to look up at the time. I wasn't like familiar with looking up libraries and whatever. So I was trying to come up with my own ways to render and project 3D rendering onto a 2D space. That was fun, where I made some like 3D object with vertices and then they're connected planes, and then I can rotate them. And the way it is that the data is 3D represented, but then it projects onto the 2D screen to calculate where things needs to be drawn. That was fun. Kind of. So answer is kind of, but not really. Oh my gosh. Wait, did I unmute myself? Okay, I did. Jeez. Clearly I'm tired. Archive says, look at that cool YouTube chatter with a space in their username. Yeah, I know. What the heck? They can have space in their username? Seems blasphemous. But this is why you have ID versus display name, right? Anyways, so today's generation, I want to make that graph map. And this is appropriate because I made the whole like creating corridors and connecting rooms tutorial intro already. And one of the things that we need to do is something called Delaney's triangulation. Delaney. Really, I think it's Delaney. Delaney's triangulation. And this is a kind of like a definition / algorithm in mathematics to find neighboring vertices in a graph, if you're given a graph. So maybe this will work for us. Alternatively, we could, because I would imagine, so first of all, I'm looking at this, right? Oh yeah, I gotta pull up my design doc. Under, don't look at my drive folder. Shipped game. It's called shipped game right now. So if you look at over here, right now our game goal, I want something like this, right? Where you have a ship and then a bunch of graph here. So in order for us to do that, we need to first of all decide, because especially we said, hey, there's going to be a distance destination, and then we're going to draw everything in between. We need certain, I think, like logic to spread out these dots. So before connecting the dots, we need to be like, okay, well, where do the dots go on the plane? How would you do that? You don't just go pick random coordinates, right? You still want them somewhat like well spaced and stuff like that. So my thought is I'm going to use bispace partitioning to make sure none of the dots and none of the overlapping space or none of the gaps are overlapping. And then once I do binary space partitioning to provide these like locations that the dots can exist on, just pick some of those things to put the dots. So that I don't have to go, okay, well, every time I put the dot, I go, how far is it from the farthest, you know, stuff like that. And then do some neighboring logic. Zetobob says, do you post them or are they personal magnum opus? Do I post the tutorial videos? It's on my channel. I mean, you're on YouTube. If you go to my channel, I think the most recent videos are the generation tutorials. Tutorials are kind of like loose term since I do a lot of like live discovery. So yeah, we like to make our game, like I like to make my game here when I'm doing live stream, but recorded videos are often like tutorials and stuff like that. Danimal says, all right, I'm here. You can get started. Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you for your permission. Well, perfect timing, Danimal. It says ad is in progress right now. Well, actually, Danimal's never going to get the ad. Because Danimal is cool and is subbed. Fruit Superman, hello. Welcome, welcome. Zerobop says... Oh, no, I already read that. Yeah, no. The goals I have are often executed on. Sometimes I execute on them pretty slowly, but... Anyways. Which means we're actually going to move away from our combat tester for a bit, finally. Because I think adding new features to that combat game mode is pretty easy now. I was able to configure new things and stuff like that. So now we're going to go to our little space map. Now the question is, do I use the already existing thing? I might have to, because I've already done a lot of heavy lifting on the space map for like drawing lines between the dots, and like hovering and having information available. So I probably will use the same thing, except we're going to add a new generation logic, right? So right now for space map, if I start here, it's going to just break, right? Because it doesn't have any parent. So what we're going to do here, we're going to same thing. We're going to make a tester, like a little testing environment. So we'll call this map generator or generation tester, or map tester, I guess. We should call it space map tester. Sorry if I'm a little bit sniffly today. I don't know what is going on, but it is going on. Let's say this is the little testing platform, and we'll add the space map in here potentially. Though I don't know if I should make a new version of this. We already have a code in here. This is kind of unfortunate that a lot of these are already created. So we go over here. It's gonna be a little bit messy because we're changing what already exists here. So the map line object we created, we've already made it so that the map line requires the node that it needs to connect. And then you're supposed to provide that. So we're going to get rid of all of this. Hopefully it's not too difficult to implement. And then we're going to get rid of all our point of interest. Yeah, we don't need any of this. And then space map tester, we're going to make a canvas layer, because that's where it's going to live anyways. And then we'll put the space map at the center of it. Cool. And then since all the points are destroyed, these are just frames. We don't have to worry too much about it. The sector name, we're not really worried about it for now, so I'm going to just turn that off. Map information, that may be relevant, but for now we're going to turn that off. Don't have to worry about that. Cool. Zerobop says... Oh, shoot. I keep thinking that Zerobop says something new here, because there's like only that. What's going on Twitch here? Okay, Archives is still giving away... Hey, what is this? Why are you giving away all your berries? Are you about to leave us, Archives? Or are you just being nice? It's like giving like, oh, I'm dying, everyone. I'm gonna give all the berries away. Please don't. Okay, well, if it's true though, I don't wanna jinx anything. All right. The Denimal says it's not you, it's me. Here are all the gifts you've given me. Yeah. That's kind of funny. All right. Ah, man. the temptation is for me to just kind of redo all of this instead of trying to figure out what I did before, but you know, maybe it'll be okay. So we were starting POI, all those things. I'm gonna go look at the ready part and see if I can deal with this. Ship icon position. All right. It has a reset. All right. Process has a bunch of stuff. Oh, man. I feel like most of these are not usable anymore. Right? It's kind of annoying. Oh, boy. Hold on. Let me make it so that I can launch this tester first of all. Get rid of all the stuff that's causing the error first. Cannot call method reparent on a null value. Ship icon is null. Because on ready, this wasn't able to run for some reason. Oh, when is the reset being run? Oh, on visibility change. Interesting. Okay. But shouldn't the ready be executed first? Huh. I suppose we're not going to do this right now so that it doesn't break. Fruit Superman says, what are your thoughts on nested tooltip system for games with bunch of keywords? Nested tooltip system. Oh, you mean like a lot of games have that, right? Where if the game has mechanic, it explains what the mechanic is, and then during the explanation of the mechanic, there are more keywords, and then you can hover over and then open it. Is that what you mean? I think it's good to have those. I like them. I don't like it when games don't have that, when I really want to learn about it. Zedobub says, do you have any experience with Python? Well, yes, in school. But when I went to school, my main language that we learned from was Java. But at the same time, coding in Python versus Java versus JavaScript versus C versus whatever, conceptually coding is coding. So, however, what I hear, because I'm working with GDScript. GDScript is a scripting language for Godot, native scripting language for Godot. And a lot of people say it's like Python in that it is indent sensitive coding. They call it Python-like. But I'm like, you know what? I don't know. It doesn't really matter because you often find yourself in a situation where you have to learn a new language if you go to a new job or like new hot things come up. So you just kind of get used to working with whatever code you need. What is important is programming, software designing, algorithmic fundamentals. Denimo says, so weird for me to see code with no comments. Work has comments hardwired in my brain. Feels like I have to type out a story as I'm coding. I mean, that makes sense. In work setting, you have to, because you're communicating what you're doing to other people. I should do that too here for the most part, but a lot of times I'm kind of pressed for time, so I'm a little lazy on that front. Let's see. Fruit Superman says yes. Instead of showing all the keywords explanation at once. Yeah, no, nested tooltipping is great because it makes whatever you seek shorter. And if you need to know more, then you can dive into it. Otherwise, if you already know, then people stop looking into it. Though I think strategizing what is nested versus what is not is probably important. Denim says, yeah, we're C# all day and often go into Python scripts that other departments create and help fix their issues. Once you know one, it's easy to move another. Yeah, 100%. I mean, there are language-specific kinks. For example, like if you started on Python, being able to change an access memory address feels weird when you go to C. And you're like, whoa. And then you realize, oh, like this is how computer works. Other way around, some of the more convenient features of the higher level language like Python and Java when you're coming from more fundamental language, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so convenient. Am I crazy or is my hair looking flat today? I need to get a haircut. I got too much hair now. I feel bald. Ugh, look at that. Anyways, that's not why we're here. I'm trying to fix this here. Add child is broken here. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this. Ship icon gets... Oh, right, because ship icon needs to be added to the current POI, meaning the starting POI. That's okay. I think we can do this. Do a little cover saying that, hey, if it's not assigned, don't do it. Don't do it, girl. Don't do it. All right. During the process, visibility is based on the state manager. It appears that we don't care about the state manager for now. We will care. But for now, we're going to comment this out. Don't worry about what the state is in. I'm just trying to get rid of everything that is game specific and just leave things are isolated so that the space map is standalone code. Apollo says, I hate languages that use white space. You know, I don't blame you. Okay, so we're at a point where it's not breaking. So we're going to go back to the space map code again. This map information is display, little video. We have the audio confirm button. Doesn't matter. Sector name is the big thing. Okay, so everything is gone now. Something is breaking here. Node.cpp parameter. Common parent is null. Interesting. Why is it telling me that? Probably because of the main. Doesn't matter. Okay. We're going to copy over my generator. My dungeon generator code. Because it has by-space partitioning logic. So I'm going to go to my file manager real quick. And then we're going to add some extra stuff to it. The idea for me right now is with by-space partitioning, I am producing a spot for the dots to live. And then I choose random spots or random leaves, I guess, of the BSP to... Oh my gosh, hold on. My legs are falling asleep. Am I having a heart attack? Hold on, let me get up. Feels weird. Oh gosh, a little sore. I don't know why that just happened. Felt weird. I'm getting to an age of any type of physical ailment feels suspicious to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dying, guys. Danimal says, used to have teammate that would code 20 lines of code on one line. Like, dude, how do you read that? No, I feel like that is a bad idea. You know, like, you know what? It's funny because like I had a lot of the new people when I was working, like whenever the new generation comes through, you know, and then they get really obsessive with this like quote unquote clean line of code. And so they heavily use like Lambda functions and stream, like the array streams along with these like ternaries and the shorthands to make it as short as possible. And I'm over here being like, dude, like great, but like in terms of like execution efficiency, you're not saving much time. Plus, it's hard to read now. Like all it takes is wrong place entering at the wrong place to break all this. And two, debugging is really bad. If you put everything in a single line, debugging becomes really hard. In that, let's say you're stepping through, when you're nested all these code into a single line, when you're stepping into the code, like which part of the nest are you stepping into? Or where do you print in between? How do you confirm the variable value. Yeah, I don't know. That's just old in me, I guess. Oh, am I disconnecting? I've disconnected from the chat, apparently. Why? Am I still online? Ooh. Okay, no, I'm back. Demo says, I can't mentally handle seeing Ezra die on camera. Now the new people keep using AI to vibe code, but don't understand how to troubleshoot. You know, that is still surprising to me that some of the bigger companies are still pushing for it. But, you know, I think people are more susceptible to the idea of AI being a bubble at this point. Not entirely, but like what it's promising, but what's being promised by the company and what the investors are investing for, that is a bubble. It is a useful tool, but it's not where, I don't think it's where the money is at right now. So we'll see. Hey, Zuzu. Oh, whoops. Sorry, A6 Kitty World. Hi. Let's see. Demo says you're still on. Daniel says that's why I'm fixing Python often, because all the new people who vibe coding don't know what they're doing. I feel like at some point you need to start educating them. You can't just fix everything for them. I mean, I guess the benefit is that you are holding your company hostage to a point of like, okay, well, if I go, this is what you're going to get. I'm fixing this many code all the time. I suppose. All right, let me go back to my dungeon generator somewhere here. Ah, here you are. We have a BSB code here, so I'm gonna just copy this. You know, one of my goal one day, so I just made a state machine tutorial last night, and I was thinking that it would be good. It'll be cool to have like a kind of templatized project where it's like, okay, Ezra's scaffolded project for game dev in Godot type of situation where it has a lot of an extra tool. Obviously, it'll make the load and opening a lot harder, but I think it could be cool. I'll call this a generator or dungeon, I guess. Dungeon generator. And then, well, if it's a plugin, it's going to require some other stuff, so I'm not going to put it in here, actually. Maybe out here. I'll move this out like that. Go to dungeon generator, and we'll paste in our BSP here. Oh, right. I gotta do the paste in the Windows Manager. Windows 10 is officially unsupported now. My desktop, even though it's kind of new, for some reason they're like, oh, you can't upgrade this to Windows 11 because of the hardware mismatch. I'm like, what do you mean? What hardware mismatch? I never seen that before where OS is like, yeah, no, I can't upgrade you because the hardware doesn't match. It's a modern computer. What do you mean? I didn't look into it, but it's kind of annoying. Do I have a pre-build? I don't think so. I mean, I got lazy and then I did the whole like go to a website and pick parts and then they build it for you type of thing. Is it because the licensing? I mean, I didn't install the Windows version that's installed on here is not something that I installed. It's something that, you know, the machine builder installed. So, I mean, there could be an issue of like distribution version. Denim says, I would love to educate. I don't have to fix and educate though, sadly. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it is starting to get warm in here. Denim says, yeah, my work actually just disabled all Windows 10 computer without telling people, lol. I'm sure tech support had fun with that. Yeah. Oh, I can't. Well, I mean, look, I was like, well, I guess nothing is that urgent. You know what I did notice about companies? Nothing's that important. Like, no job is actually that important. The way I know this is that when I was in that big tech layoff in Google, like, you know, usually in a normal schedule, you have this like handoff time of like handing off some of the technology and knowledge to some other people who's coming in, or like making sure that the bookend is nice and clean. No, like we were in the literally middle of launch. We were doing an experimental AI-based video meeting processing app. And then we had partners and test customers, and then the external clients and external contractors. And without any news, without any need or requirement to close those line out, we just lost access to everything, like the entire team. And we're like, huh? To a point where the contractor company directly contacted our manager to be like, hey, what's going on? Like, just where it's like, oh, wow, it really didn't matter that much. So like you being like, oh, I got to fix this by tomorrow thing. Yeah, no, it's all BS. They don't really need it. Denimo says, yeah, my work actually just oh, no, I already read that. Robot says, Windows 10 will have 1 more year support in Europe. Ooh, I should go to Europe then. I don't know. Maybe it's time for us to go back to Windows 98. It was perfect, right? No, it had some security issues. I remember when Windows XP first came out, it was pretty security vulnerable. Anyways, not me just chatting it up and looking at the same screen over and over again. As I do. I might have to drop the audio here. What is this saying? Line 6 says, playback can only happen when node is inside the scene tree. But it is. Hello? Anyways. Not important. That's not my point. All right, so we have a space map tester. Obviously, the tester itself requires a button. So this is a tester, so we're going to add some testing UI. So map is in the center, and we're going to add some button right now. And that's just going to be, maybe I'll have a series. So we'll say VBox container and say this is the tester UI. And then first we'll add one button. And simply it's going to be generate map button. For now, maybe there are some like different generation logic we want to have. But for now, I'm just going to call it generate. Boom. And I can click on that. I would say that's fairly beautiful. And then when this gets clicked on, the tester will generate a new map. So we'll have space map tester code here. That is Node2D. And on signal, when it gets pressed, button pressed, we'll handle that on space map. Sick. Robot says, what was better, Windows 95, 98, or XP? I think when XP first came out, when I was a kid, since I was a kid, it was like so cool. Like all these like bubbly text boxes and like things looked like rounder and more colorful. It looked cool and I really liked it. But what I ended up doing though, I think I was still like a little bit like nostalgic for some reason because I used mostly Windows 98, right? And 98 was pretty solid and was, I think, one of the longest Windows version that lasted, perhaps. I don't know. Did it change? Was it XP? Did XP last longer than 98? I'm not really sure. But, well, I guess because XP came out and then they were like, oh, we're going to make Windows Me. And they were like, oh, nobody wants this. I guess it's just XP. So that happened. So I'm not really sure. I lived that history, but I was also young, so I didn't really pay attention. For me, Windows XP is nostalgic, but then I like 98 to a point where I reskinned XP. I changed a lot of the settings to like classic mode, but then it was like I was able to still change the color. My favorite thing was to do like change the Windows XP to a like classic version and change all the colors of like the bar, the transparency, and then the taskbar and all those things. That was fun. Yeah. Robot says, sorry to question you. I really can't see any difference in 95, 98 XP, but newer system equals more support for newer. I'm sure. It's just nostalgia. It's not really much of a difference. 95, 98 are very similar in that it's hard to tell the difference. XP was a jump because XP was here. Oops. Windows XP was like millennia, the millennium, the 2000 hype. So you see this like signature blue and green colorfulness, and this background, this viral background, the well-known background, came during Windows XP. Windows 98 is what you'd associate as retro look. This right here with the solid gray bar, with a very like office-like Windows structures. So going from this to this felt like a huge jump at the time. If you're my age, yes, Windows 98 is probably one of your first OSs. Technically, I was using MS-DOS, but you know. Well, Robot says you described the graphics but not the core system feature. That's because when I used it, I was just a kid and I didn't know much about it. What I do know about the XP versus just regular Windows was that they did start, I think the whole like user separation. I mean, they had that in 98 too, but they rehashed a lot of the like, here's an admin account versus here's like the user account, and then the permission control of different folders, so that a single computer in a household can have multiple accounts. Like that was their main feature on XP, I think. That was their main thing. I think. Because I remember doing that was more of a hassle. Like people didn't do that as much. They did, but it was like typing in your name and password. Like it needed to be set up by like network manager and stuff like that. But then like that whole user separation was a lot easier to do on XP. So maybe that was their focus. I don't know. I might have to read into it, the history of it. Robot says, me too. I was a child too. Yeah, I have no idea. Zeus said we had the PC upstairs in my mom's sewing room. I remember playing Pokemon on an emulator. Yeah, me too. I had Genesis emulator. That was fun. Animal says, oh my god, Windows XP, good old days. I remember XP being so modern at the time and was much easier on the eyes. Yeah. I mean, that was a main draw though. Like, I'm using Windows 98 at home, and then I go to these like computer stores and all these machines have like Windows XP on, and I like play with it. Like even just I think the 3D pinball, one of the default games that Windows come up with, right? Even their Solitaire was a little bit more modern, the graphics. It was just general like facelift. Fun times. And Demel said, I used XP until I like 7 was almost done. Oh, yeah, it's true. You didn't even go over to Vista, right? Vista was a train wreck for a lot of people, I think. XP was the king for a while. I guess XP was the longest one, huh? Anyways, when the generate map button gets pressed, I want to partition. I do want to be able to scroll within the map space. So I don't want to be sensitive to the size. So we're going to call the generator. I guess the generator here, I could be called out here. Hopefully I remember how to use this. So we bring in BSP generator into the, ooh, this needs to actually be inside space map. So we'll say BSP generator is inside space map. And I don't know about ready, but definitely we need one that says func generate, like so. And first of all, we are spacing out, partitioning the space. We'll say BSP generator. Hold on. Does it have any parameters? Okay. We want. So this one, I think, operates off of assumption that this is tiled room. So minimum room size is number of tiles, if I recall correctly. So this is a size, floating point size. I guess it doesn't really matter, huh? So I can name it whatever. So I would say generate rooms. And this size, I might have to rename this. This is not a room size, but a map size. So we'll provide a map size, which I don't know what the good size would be. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, let's think about this. Closest points between the two. I'm thinking pixel-wise, I want them to be like from here to here. Like this, like I was pointing at the screen like you guys can see my fingers. Wouldn't that be cool if I do this? You guys can see the camera angle from my perspective. From here and here. That seems like about 100 pixels. Let's see what that looks like actually. Wow. I'm losing it for sure. Okay, so from here, which is 94, to here, which is about 190. So 100 pixels. So at least 100 pixel apart. And then, so we're going to go over to the space map. During generation, we'll say, well, if it's 100, and then we're going to say about 10 times that. So about, or two, I guess 20 times. Let's do 2000 by 2000 first. And then we'll split that. We're going to say the BSP generator minimum room size would be 100 by 100. And then it'll generate some partitioning space. It'll generate room, it'll partition it, and then provide the BSP dungeon info, which will be a graph of partitions. And then we want to go down all the way to the leaves and start placing dots there, I think. Zuzu says we had... No, I already read that. Denimal says, totally skip Vista. Denimal says, we'll have to call in a wellness check for Ez. He's losing it. No, I mean, seriously, I don't know. These days, I don't know what it is. My brain capacity, the stress maybe. I'm not acting normal sometimes. I'm like, oof. Yeah. But not to worry. I have my friends right here. I am actively talking and thinking, so I'm doing something preventive. Mentally preventive. Anyways, maybe we need more people in here. Okay, so the job of this is providing a BSP information. And if you look at this one, it's interesting, by the way. This is available on my YouTube video, the BSP generator tutorial. It provides basically a tree, and each of the nodes include subdivision of it, and then the room information, which is the rectangle, like how big that partition is. And then it partitions that into a similar chunk. So you can go down as much as you need to. And it splits down to the minimum size, right? So this is graph traversal. And technically, we actually don't even have to do the Delaunay's triangulation for this because we have neighboring logic. If they're leaves closer to each other, if they're sibling leaves, they're neighbors. I mean, there's no doubt about that. They're right next to each other. And we can connect. Yeah, I think we can connect them that way. Potentially. Well, there's still a puzzle there, but you know, whatever. Okay. So this provides some root node, BSP root, BSP dungeon info will be BSP generator dot generate rooms. I guess call it BSP info. So we have that now. And we got to use this to do something here. Okay. Hi, Hasi. Welcome, welcome. Denmal says, do you celebrate Thanksgiving as? I asked because I will be on a liquid diet, so I'll need you to describe all the food you ate in great detail. Wow. Yeah, I usually do. I don't think I usually have enough, like, big enough family to do, like, huge thing. And we used to do, like, invite people, but we're in a situation where it's kind of hard to invite people. We'll see. We'll see. I'll do that. Liquid diet. Oh, that's right, because it's post-surgery. Dang, sorry. What a timing. Maybe it's a good timing. Will you be losing a lot of weight for this? From this, I guess. Yeah. Anyways, welcome, Hasi. Hello, hello. Okay. I really don't want to do the next part. So we have a binary partitioning of a space. And then we go, well, some of those spaces should be occupied, or we should assign some dots. And I suppose the iterating through this and placing the dot, I have to think about this. I feel like there needs to be a probability function, because one, we don't want to populate every single location with a dot. We want to be somewhat random in either placing the dot or not placing the dot, right? So there are a few ways to approach this. We can, first of all, provide maximum number of dots, right? So I think some of the parameters we want is max POI count. So we want that to limit it. So for our example, I guess, like, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about like 30. I'm just pulling numbers out of my butt, but basically these will be things that we will configure later. So to do move these generation configuration properties to config later. So over here, we're partitioning. We're going to provide some parameters here. What else? Var probability for placing a dot, maybe? Okay, here's the thing. What I can do, go through the tree, iterate through the tree. I still need to guarantee the number of dots, right? So I definitely want to play 30. So I was initially thinking, here, follow me. I can navigate through the graph, and then at the leaf, roll the dice and decide based on the probability, place a room there or not. If I do that, you have a chance that the room count would be less than 30, right? And it's hard to control the minimum number of dots, right? Because if I say 50% chance to place a dot, yes, it's unlikely that no dots are placed, but it's still a possibility, very slim possibility, but possibility that 1 out of bazillion times that people are playing, you get a map with nothing on it. So we need to guarantee a minimum POI. Though I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So we do need to somehow guarantee this. So we don't entirely rely on probability. So what I'm thinking is, for the minimum POI count, I traverse the map randomly. Instead of doing it orderly, left, always left, 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 right, 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 orderly, go down the tree randomly, and then mark the tree to be like, okay, if you go down and you're like, oh, should I go left or right? You go, oh, well, actually left is already filled, so I have to go right now, and stuff like that. And then have some logic to place 20 dots first. And then up to 30, I would do probability on the rest of it. So that's 2 traversal, 2 logics of traversal. Not very efficient. Or do we just rely on probability and say call it? I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit. I like the random. I like the idea of random placement. Only problem with that is we're not guaranteeing. But I think that's okay. Yes. You know what, we'll start with this and see how it goes. Because technically, if we're thinking like, oh, well, starting point is always bottom and end point is always at the top, then what we can do is have the generated version here and take the lowest point and then connect it to the starting point, and take the highest point and connect it to the end point. So like the destination doesn't actually have to be part of the generation. Destination can be added later based on the generation result. Okay, that's what I'm thinking to myself here. Animal says, a comment. Now I feel more at home. Anxiety level decrease. Do you get anxious if nobody's talking for a while? I mean, the situation is that everybody's just kind of vibing here. So I don't know if I can actually do max POI. I feel like I should do minimum POI. And then rest is, whatever. Yes. And then we have diminishing return of probability. So here. Or what I'm going to do, so that I don't have to traverse the tree multiple times, I'm going to traverse the tree and put all the leaf nodes onto a array, like a flat array. So I have an array of the leaf. And then I'm going to shuffle it and pick first 20 to have a location. And then from then on, I reduce the probability every time a room is placed, until it reaches a certain minimum probability threshold. Okay, so let's do that. So we're gonna have to traverse BSP info here. BSP info root is a starting point, and then we have pure stack. Doesn't matter if we're traversing it. I'll probably do stack actually, because it's just more efficient on an array. And then BSP node, room node. And then first thing will be the root that goes in here. Technically, I guess better way to do this is to be like, hey, node stack push back the root. And we'll say, hey, while the node stack is not empty, iterate something. Wow, I'm doing my tree traversal interview question here. So we're gonna go through them and say, hi, candidate node is BSB room node, right? Hold on a second. You know what? No. I'm not going to complicate this. Because I was thinking like, okay, well, it's a room inside of a room. So it doesn't mean you have to go all the way down. You could just decide that I'm just going to work with this like top layer. That might work. Whatever. I'm not going to worry about this right now. Those things I will change later. So we'll say, hey, node stack, we're going to pop back. All right, so we pushed into the back. We're popping the back. And then we say, well, hey, like if this one, the subdivision is empty, then we're going to come through here and say var leaves, or BSP leaves would be an array of BSP room node. Basically, we're traversing, and then if it doesn't have any children, we're going to add it to the leaves. Or, yeah. Otherwise, instead of putting it to the leaf, if it has subdivision, we're going to put it into the node stack. Say, hey, push back the nodes, the candidate node's children. Subdivision. Oh, can I like iterate through automatically? All calls the given callable on each element in an array and returns true if callable returns true for all elements. Okay. I think we can do this. You know what? I'm like, why am I trying to avoid for each here? For sub in subdivision, we'll just push in the sub here. Boom. Okay. Then we're iterating through, and then we're going to grab the resulting BSP leaves here. And then we'll shuffle this. And we'll shuffle this twice. Why not? It takes some time, but we'll shuffle it twice. Then we'll says no comment in code. I like silence, lol. Oh, are you talking about this right here? Here, like this. I'll help. Generate space map and display. Here we'll go binary space partitioning to section the map into potential POI spot. Configure parameters for generation condition. Collect BSB leaf nodes for POI placement. There you go. Randomize leaf BSP leaves and select minimum amount of POIs. There you go. Very loud. The code is getting louder now. I'm changing music here. Danimal says Wiseberry. Yeah, exactly. Is this the kind of code you wanted? Huh? Is this? There you go. Ugh. Ugh. I don't know. The comment makes it feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, so we're gonna select one. We're gonna say for I in minimum POI count. We will pop back BSP node. And then we're going to grab this information and place the POI here. So this is a point where we're creating the POIs. POI is short for point of interest here. So we'll come over here on our space map. Demo said, "Hey, it's your code. I was only teasing." Yeah, no, I'm just adhering to it for the entertainment value. I mean, I guess hindsight, this might be helpful later in terms of like reminding myself what is happening. But I quit my job for this. So these are POI resources. What about the POI scene? I think this is it. Yeah, this is the dot. So we're going to place the POI scene, which is a control node. And it would have a POI info, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. We'll say, oi, let's place the, I think 2000 might be a little bit too big. We'll see. So come over here. POI scene, we're going to do this. POI scene. And then for the generation, we'll go boop, instantiate, right? So create a new scene. That is a POI. POI display, which is, I don't know if it has a class name. Oh, it's called POI. Okay. So let's see. POI equals this as POI. Endpoint says, "Hello, my G. Do you have a demo of Space Map? I love graphs. We're working on it. We're trying to make it. We just got started. But I do have what it's supposed to look like. So this game, Dread on Arrival, is a spacefaring adventure where you customize your crew and ship and manage your crew's stress level. A little bit of blend of FTL and Darkest Dungeon with some narrative components. So we've been working on this game for a while. We have this like major scene, exploration, and when you're jumping from one point to another, we go through these like procedurally generated star map to go to places, and the goal is for us to have general location of the destination available, but how you get there is random. Like you don't know, so you can discover things. And we've been working on this combat portion, little tactics portion, and then the combat/events are triggered on each of the visitation of the points on the node. So we just finished doing this part, or configurable version of this. So right now we just started making this part. So we had a manual version of this where I'm manually drawing it. So now I'm trying to make a generative version of this. Main way to do it right now, we are using some dungeon generation logic. Specifically on my YouTube channel, I've been doing a how to generate dungeon tutorial series. I guess I could do this. And, you know, we went through binary space partitioning. I think we went through Drunkard's Walk. And then the third one we did was a cellular automata. And funnily enough, the next one is connecting corridors. And some of the logic that we would be using to do that is essentially the same thing we would do to create these like graph node dungeon map. So we're doing that right now. So we're coding it. So there's nothing to show just yet. Endpoint says, nice. Did you read up on how researchers found an algorithm that is fast and dexterous shortest path? Faster, you mean? Well, you mean the most recent one? I've seen the title. I didn't really read into it. I know for a fact that the A star is faster than Dextra because of the heuristics. I'm not sure if it's talking about the history of that. So I'm aware of A star, and I've implemented my own version of that at some point, and it's available in Godot. But yes, I am aware of the article. I saw that like the other day, actually. I was trying to read up to it, but then it was like it was reading like a history one. So I was like, I guess it's just talking about A star. But I'm not sure. If it is faster than A star, then I will be interested. But A star, I think, is the fastest algorithm still. The way A star works is that I'm not sure if sounds like you just found out, so I'm not sure if you know the name. Yeah. It looked like it was just explaining A star. Where A star is basically almost Dextra's, except it takes the heuristics of prioritizing the nodes or path that's closer, physically closer to the destination. And that works out for the most part to be faster because it's not breadth first. It's like depth first in a informed way. So you're more likely to get lucky and guess right, which makes it faster. But I'm not sure if it's faster than that. So, well, I'll have to see if there can be ways that are faster. Anyways, we're not quite there yet. We don't really need to do pathfinding at this point. So we did BSP node. We have POI created. And for that node, we're going to place the POI display here. So what we're doing, I do believe I can just add the POI as a child here. So let's say we're going to, base color, interesting. We're going to, let's put a default info just in case it requires an info. So for POI info, I'm going to just hardcode frontier into it. So I'm not going to even use global variable for this one. I'm just going to load. Maybe I would. Here. Let's do a waypoint here. And then I'll just load this in. All right, POI resource. And then the POI info is POI resource. So we'll do that. And then what I'm going to do here for its position, that's what's important. Its position will be informed by the BSP node. So we'll say BSP node, room info, grab that, which is a rect2. So it's like a rectangular with position and its length. So the position of this, I could actually technically just take the rectangle's position. So use the left top corner instead of the right bottom. Or if I want to find the middle, I could just always go like this. BSP node room info size divided by 2. Right? I think the rect is size a function or property? It's a property. Cool. So that'll give us the center of that rectangle. Oxynum says, what? Hi. What? Hi, Oxynum. Yeah, first is already claimed. Look, you know who has the first? Let's see. We got Archives. Archives has the first. Look at this finger. Proudly presenting Archives' finger as 1. Archives number 1. That's where we're at. Okay, okay. It's getting a little warm. I kind of want to get more water, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Oxynum says, I remember this from months ago. What, this game? Or are you talking about this? The game we're working on? Dude, we have a new roadmap. We missed our first roadmap, which was due this Monday. But new one is now December 8th based on this. So we're working on procedurally generated star map navigation. If we can cut this from 2 weeks to a single day, that'd be crazy. Oh, the overlay? Yeah. It's basically locked in right now. We don't have a new game mode yet, but you can see that we have a bunch of berries now. Kick, jump. I thought I heard my cat crying. Anyways. Okay. Where was I? Okay, so I created a POI display. I set its position based on this. So now this is not going to work immediately because this is a lot bigger than the map itself. But I'm going to add this to the map for now. And it's going to be everywhere. It's not going to look good. But I think it will be a good starting point for testing. So we say, hey, if the generate map button gets pressed, we're going to get the space map and then do generate, right? So open the tester. Oh, okay. Look at that. You see these points that got generated? That's great. Only problem is that it's so far apart and the space map is this big. So I'm guessing I might actually kind of funnel it down, make the generator a little bit smaller. So let's say we're going to make it 50 by or 40 by 40, the room size, or not the room size, the minimum room size. And for the space map generation, instead of going for 2000 to 2000, let's do 500 to 500. I think it's going to make the generation a little bit tighter. Boom. Oh, okay. Okay. Looking a little structured. I think that's the side effect of how tightly spaced they are. So 100 to 100, and then we'll make this 1200, maybe 1200 by 1200. Actually, you know what? Let's make this 85. 85, and I guess I want to bias towards like wider margin or taller margin. So let's say 120 to 85. Okay. 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 It's still looking. I guess that makes sense because it's binary space partitioning. So instead of, yeah, Oxynum says use noise. I could use noise, but that I feel like that's more like for me a terrain. I mean, what would I use noise for? I already split it and then I have a thing. Are you saying use noise to place them? Like place them at the peak of the noise? I guess that could work too. I could be like, if I use noise, I could just place the dots on that. But what about like... But I don't want them to be too random, right? Random is good, but I still want some predictability. I mean, I could adjust the noise. But it doesn't guarantee 20 points, right? Like, it doesn't guarantee number of peaks. I guess I can expend the noise. I mean, look, I could always do one of these things where I can break it down even further. So I can say, hey, 20 by 20. And then it's just nature of number of options. See, this feels more random, right? You see how this feels a little bit more random because they're tighter? I guess on generate, I got to clean. So we're going to make a clean one. Function on reset. I'm going to get rid of all the POIs. Where's my POI? Boom. POI is in a map node group. Okay. That's good. So I think what I can do here for the space map on reset is get nodes in group and get the map node group for all of them. I will free them. So remove child, map node, and then map node queue. Free. And then on the start, I'll reset and generate so I can see them. Okay. I mean, it feels pretty random enough. Like, this doesn't feel crazy. I think this is good. And then basically, obviously, this is like all spread out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 20. That means there's more over here outside of the screen. So we're going to make it so that the star map, maybe I'll make the star map bigger, first of all. And then have it be scrollable, meaning if I go to right, it goes to the right. If I go to left, it goes to the left. Or just make it fit in the window. I can make it fit in the window instead and just make the map bigger. That's one alternative now that the resolution has become bigger. Oxynum says, I would get random point in a shape in area 2D. Oh, that could work pretty well too. I mean, I think the whole point is that there's many ways to place dots in a random manner and, you know, use whatever you need to use. I've already committed to doing this, so far it's okay. All right. Now that I have that, whatever's generated, I think I want to fit the whole thing in the map, right? I think at least center it. We'll center it on the starting point, I suppose. And then also draw lines between the neighbors. And I need to decide what is a neighbor of what, right? Technically, if I make it so that I can climb to the parent, it can detect what is a neighbor. I think that's not as good. We'll see. I'm thinking about this. I'm going to watch this for a little bit longer. And it's because I'm placing it over here, the left edge is the limit here. This feels okay. It feels pretty random to me. This doesn't feel terrible. Okay. Now,